Hey, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. How we doing out there? Good to see you guys. Let us know where you're coming in from. My name is Doc Severson with ReadySetCrypto. Today is going to be a short and special session, Chart Like a Pro, 4 powerful rules for crypto trading. We're going to be going over the top 10 coins of crypto, as well as taking your requests to see what's out there. So we have, let's see, we have people from India. We have people from Stockholm. Awesome. So unusual time to do this. I've already gotten my breakfast. We walked to breakfast so I can get my steps in today. You know, that's what we do here. So just a couple of things here. I'm not going to be giving any trade recommendations this morning. We're just going to be going over charts, and I'm going to be sharing what I feel is what's going on in the top 10. By doing so, I want to show you how to use the 4 powerful rules. All right, so let's see. We got folks from London. We have Colorado, Thailand. We have Sydney. We have Spain. We have, let's see, Netherlands. And Alabama. Love Alabama. And we have a little bit of college football going on today in the States, so I'm particularly excited about that. Big games today. All right. So I am assuming that you've already watched my class from the other day, which is called the 4 Powerful Rules to Conquer Trading. So if you have not seen this, it's about an hour long, and you can find this out on our YouTube channel. This goes over the whole theory of what basically I'm going to be talking about today. So today I'm going to use the top 4 rules to evaluate the top 10 market cap crypto coins. And then I will take your questions and request to review charts. So we'll do this. Half the session will be me going over the top 10, and then I'll take a few requests from you. I can't take everybody's. Obviously today we're going to be here probably for 4 hours then. Today's just going to be a short session, about 30 minutes. So get your fair share. Let's get out. And let's get moving on here. So just to review, rule number 1. So if you hear me say rule number 1, rule number 2, rule number 3, those kind of things, larger time frames dominate the overall trend. Rule number 2, reversals come from the inside out and they propagate higher. So things change from the inside out. Things change, trends change from smaller time frames first before they roll over and go in the opposite direction. Rule number 3, very simple, descending patterns break to the upside and vice versa, or ascending patterns break to the downside eventually. All right, we got Perth, Washington. We have Croatia, Amsterdam, Buffalo, New York. DGB does not come in the top 10. No coin pumping, please. Rule number 4, range contraction leads to range expansion. Range expansion leads to range contraction. Repeat forever. I will not be talking about overbought and oversold today. These do not work in today's market. All right. Without further ado, let's get to the charts. There we go. All right. So I'm going to just be going over the top 10 here. And I'm going to start everything in the same manner. So what I want to start with is typically, if you haven't done something like this before, you want to go top down first. Put the top down, right? So what do we have as far as trend? Here? We have what is still amounts to be a weekly downtrend. Let's see if we have anything moving today. We have some things moving a little bit today, kind of a mixed market so far on a lazy Saturday. So we have this, let's see. Here. So we have this weekly downtrend. We're still making lower highs and lower low. It is kind of stalled out lately. So a lot of people have had a lot of different theories about why that happens. I don't really care what the theory is for that. All I care about is the fact that we're making lower highs so far. So until that gets reversed, how does that get reversed, Doc? Well, that has to be reversed by this. Let's get out the magic pen. This is what has to happen. First of all, rule number 3, descending patterns eventually will break to the upside, right? Okay, so that's going to happen, and we're going to have to take out this prior swing high. For this chart to start to trend higher, we're going to have to take out the prior swing high, which is about 7,400. Until that point, every little rally, the probabilities are that it will be faded to the downside. This is also a descending triangle pattern, which does improve the odds that this eventually might break support here. But I have never seen something so tenacious about clinging to support. This is so far 4 tests of the bottom. I've never heard of a quadruple bottom pattern so far. So typically this is what will happen in the descending triangle, is that, and this is actually what I hope happens to this particular coin, is that we do get a flush to the downside. Okay, this is where you have to lose the battle to win the war. Get used to that phrase, lose the battle, but you win the war, right? So everybody doesn't want to lose the battle right now. They don't want to lose the battle. They don't want to give up this line of 6,000, right? And it's not yours to decide. Don't worry about that. But if we do get the downside flush, if we get that capitulation, this is the only thing that's missing from this bear market being over and done with, is final capitulation. Usually in a bear market, the strongest selling comes at the very end. We haven't got that yet. Okay, so if it does capitulate, this is what will happen, is more than likely we'll get a very strong flush off of there. Then we can see things happen very, very quickly. But right now, this is kind of death by 1,000 cuts to the downside. So again, rule number 3, descending pattern has to break. We have got to take out the prior swing high in the weekly chart. Rule number 1 says that larger time frames dominate the trend. Right now we're in a weekly downtrend, and until that reverses, it doesn't matter what happens in the daily chart. So let's go over to the daily chart. Let's bring this one down in time frame and show what's going on here. Okay, again, this is Bitcoin, the mighty BTC. Okay, so you can see a little bit more detail. And so you can see how reversals would have to happen. If we do get a reversal here, this is technically a higher low, and if it starts to reverse, it's going to have to bang through that trend line. Now here's the one thing, and this goes to rule number 4, range expansion, range contraction. This is where I will actually bring out a chart study. I'll bring out the chop and the Bollinger Bands. We have, not only on the daily chart, but also now on the weekly chart, this is where we have a tremendous amount of energy stored up. We have a tremendous amount of energy stored up. So think of this as a big spring just winding up, winding up, winding up, tighter and tighter and tighter. This is a huge value, big, big, big value right now. And so range contraction like this leads to range expansion in a big way. So how is that going to happen? How is that going to manifest? Again, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not going to predict the future, but we're going to get a big move fairly soon. Sometimes what you have to ask yourself is, what would have to happen to cause the maximum amount of damage to the largest cross-section of traders? And I think it would be this. This to me seems to be the answer to that, is to an initial move down, and then once the bears get the idea that this market's heading down, that's where the flush comes. That to me is where we get the maximum velocity, in both directions, and accomplish everything that we need to do for this market to reverse and start to work into accumulation. We got to rip the Band-Aid off at some point, folks. I've never seen a bear market just sort of stop and slowly reverse from the bottom. Usually it stops off of a flush like this. Okay, so that's Bitcoin. Now let's look at Ethereum. Let's just go back to price and volume. We'll stick to price and volume as long as we need that. Okay, so we're going to stay on the weekly chart. We're going to go to Ethereum. What's going on with Ethereum here? What kind of a trend do we have on the weekly chart? What's rule number 1? Larger time frames dominate the trend, don't they? Okay, let's get rid of our little fibs here. We've had some fun with fibs lately. Okay, larger time frames dominate the trend. What is the weekly trend in this case? It is a pretty vicious downtrend, isn't it? And in fact, even if we go out to the monthly chart, we have precious few coins that actually are able to chart on a monthly basis. But what do we have here? On a monthly chart, we have a monthly downtrend as well too. So I could just as easily say, well, look, until we reverse the monthly downtrend, we're going to have problems with Ethereum. So there's a lot of hope out there right now that Ethereum could stop and reverse. Okay, so again, monthly, weekly, both downtrends. So What's rule number two? Rule number two is that reversals start from the inside out. So this is where we can go down to a smaller time frame here. And we've actually seen some interesting reversal signals, such as look at the volume. Look at the volume there. Look at the bones, right? Look at the volume down here at the bottom. That is significant. That is significant. Are we breaking this trend line? Maybe. All right. So that is all up to interpretation, is that we may or may not be breaking this trend line right now. Okay. Let's even go down in time frame one more. So we went to the daily chart. Let's clean this up a little bit. Okay. So the daily chart. Okay. We're making higher highs and higher lows. So this is just a weekly swing. So what has to happen? What has to happen? We have got to have this price has got to not only break this trend line, rule number 3, but it's got to break this former swing high, which is about 255. So we've got to do two things. There's a lot on Ethereum right now. It's got to break the trend line. It's got to get above 255, break the prior swing high to begin this reversal from the inside out. Interesting comments in here. Why would you take time out of your day to post something like that? Doesn't make any sense, does it? Okay, so here's Ethereum. So Ethereum is at a very, very tight tipping point right now. Very tight tipping point for this. Let's readjust this time frame. There we go. Okay, you can see that this is sort of wedging into the apex of this little triangle. And there we go. So is it going to happen? Watch these levels. So this is where you can simply get up here, and on TradingView, you can add an alert. Go ahead and add an alert and tell yourself, email it to yourself. You can SMS yourself. You can knock yourself on your forehead and let yourself know that, hey, if Ethereum crosses above 255 or so, that is significant. That could mean the beginning of something, right? Nice hammer candlestick. All that's good, you know, short-term reversal patterns, but until we start reversing the weekly and the monthly patterns, Ethereum is still under rule number 1, larger time frames dominate. Okay. There we go. Here's Ripple. So again, let's get rid of the fibs. Lately, what I'll do with fibs is, if you're wondering why I've got fib retracements up here, what I'll look at is a fib retracement can be useful to know how to bracket in a pullback. So you get the pump, right? So that's 100% of the move. And so what I look for is 61.8. If the price closes below 61.8, then my assumption is the probabilities have improved that we're just going to see this collapse and fill in the triangle. As long as it stays above 61.8, then it's got half a chance to build something on top of that. So Ripple is there's probably people in the chat room right now pumping Ripple, trying to get everybody to buy it, right? This is what we do. We do crowdsourcing as far as our analysis, and that's my presentation the other day. That does not work. Crowdsourcing your analysis is the worst mistake that you can make in crypto because you're trading along with the crowd. So now what do we have? This is an example of something like this. Okay, what's rule number 3? Guys, what's rule number 3? Descending patterns break to the upside eventually, don't they? And Ripple's a great example of that. What do we have? Let's go out to the weekly chart for Ripple. What did we have on Ripple? And this will maybe bring us down to earth just a little bit. What is the trend on Ripple? It's still on the weekly trend. It's still a series of lower highs and lower lows. So I hate to break it to you guys. And I don't want to be Dr. Doom here. I don't want to be Dr. No. But this is still a weekly downtrend. It's still a weekly downtrend until we take out this high, which is up near $1 versus the US dollar. Until we take out that high, this is still the little engine that could, right? So one of two things has to happen. With Ripple on the weekly chart, this has got to print a significant higher low, and it's got to hold. And by the way, that could be as low as that 61.8% fib. And then guess what? It's got to print a higher high. It's got to show a change in polarity at the weekly chart. Until it does so, then this is interesting. This is fun to talk about. This is fun to pump in all of the social chat rooms, but it's absolutely useless. It's just another reaction, right? It's just another reaction. So larger time frames dominate the trend. Ask yourself, what is the trend right now with Ripple? And it's still a downtrend. So what we focus on then is what has to happen for this to reverse at the daily chart level. So it's got to put in a significant higher high. It's already done that. Higher low so far, but it cannot. I have to illustrate this. It cannot fail at this point, come down here and print a lower low. Because that by itself, this pattern then would just become another lower high in the weekly chart, and it's all over, right? So what has to happen? So let's talk about some other things. Let's talk about rule number 4. Rule number 4, let's throw the chop and Bollingers on here, and let's see what's going on with this. Aha, we have exhaustion. Nice volume. That's excellent. That's excellent. Nice volume. That's good. That's what you want to see on a good, valid breakout, right? This is actually breaking out because Ripple's showing the potential to get actual service revenue from this, all right? We're not talking about religion here. Don't get religious with your coins. Don't pump and get religious with your coins. Stick to the facts, stick to the chart, be objective with this. This is how you're successful in any form of trading, all right? So what we have here is we have exhaustion. Range expansion leads to range contraction. This is doing exactly what I want it to do right now. It needs to consolidate, and what we need to see is that this energy level, it's down here, it's measured by the chop index. I want to see this back up into this area here. Notice that when we have large values like this, this is when the price tends to move. Range contraction leads to a large amount of energy, and then it moves. Right? Range contraction leads to a large amount of energy, and then it moves. Range contraction leads to a large amount of energy, and then boom, it moves. News helps too. Positive news does help. Okay, so this is what we need to wait for. We need to wait while this kind of chops around and consolidates, and then I want to see it drive forward from there. I want to see accumulation into Ripple. Okay, so that's Ripple. Ripple's still in a weekly downtrend, but this could start to move. We've got to get the price to make a new high above there. Okay, so let's keep going here on the top 10. And once I get through the top 10, guys, what I'll do is I'll open it up to your questions, and then you can bring in whatever coin that you want me to look at. Don't post them now because it'll just scroll right by. Bitcoin Cash. What's going on with Bitcoin Cash? Let's go back to price and volume. Let's go back to price and volume. Okay, rule number 3, descending patterns break to the upside. We've got that before. That's good, but what's happening on the weekly chart? The weekly chart is showing what? What kind of a trend is this on the weekly chart? This is a downtrend, unfortunately. Rule number 1, larger time frames dominate the trend until we break the weekly downtrend. So what has to happen? So this is what I want you to look at with every single one of the charts that you're at. What has to happen for this to break the weekly downtrend? Until we break the weekly downtrend, it's going to continue in the same pattern. All right, so Bitcoin Cash has got to get above, I'd say, this is around the 650 level. Maybe just above that. All right, so this is going to have to break the 650. It's going to have to show intent by making a new high above there. Until that does happen, you can just assume that every high that comes off of here is eventually going to fade back down again. That's the probabilities. That is what we're seeing. That's what happens with weekly downtrends. That's rule number 1, larger time frames dominate the trend, right? So you're seeing a lot of the same kind of things, right? Because we're in a bear market. We've been in a bear market since January. Okay, larger time frames dominate the trend. Okay, let's keep rolling here. Let's go to EOS. What do we have with EOS? Let's just kind of stay on this weekly chart because we don't have to go to all the smaller time frames, not really to answer this question. So what has to happen with EOS is we've got to break the weekly downtrend by trading above, in this case, EOS versus the US dollar, above, let's just call this $7. If it breaks above $7, we're starting to see a reversal here, are we not? Okay. Stellar. Okay, so a lot of people want to talk about Stellar. So you guys tell me, what do you see here? And this is Stellar versus the US dollar, just to make sure that we're using this. What do we see here? What's the weekly trend? Now it's a little bit tougher. This is almost a trick question because the weekly trend right now, even though this has been lower lows, lower highs, what we've placed is during the summer, Stellar has put in higher low. Again, guys, this is just objective analysis. This is not my religion discussing the coin, right? This is where a lot of people get it wrong. They decide to get religious about a certain coin and then they're gone, right? No matter how much objective analysis that you put in front of them, they can't see it because they're in love with their coin. Don't fall in love with your assets. Let the price tell you what's going on with this. So we do have a higher low here. This is a higher low, but this is also a lower high. So that's a lower high. So it's just kind of vectoring in there. So right now there is no trend on the weekly chart. Higher low, lower high. It's just kind of coiling. So if it's doing that, then perhaps what it's doing is building up some energy, which is what we need to see here. And yeah, it's kind of getting to that point now. There's not a whole lot of data on this one yet, but there is a chart that is in consolidation right now. So it's made a big move. It's in consolidation. A lot of good news recently. What's rule number 2? Reversals start from the inside out. So let's go down to the daily chart. Let's look at that. Now we have something happening here. We have higher highs and so far higher lows. This has to stick. And oh, by the way, this one has got to print a higher high. So versus the US dollar here, this has got to get above 30 cents to continue this uptrend. Otherwise, this is going to be another weekly lower high, folks. So this is what I talk about when I say frame in the price action. Know what has to happen next for the price to support an uptrend, or know what would have to happen for this to start to work into a downtrend again. All right, price will tell you everything you want to know. You don't have to slap on some silly indicator on here to tell you that. Okay, just a couple left to go. And we can go quickly and get right to your questions here. Litecoin. Let's see what's happening with Litecoin. Let's go back to price and volume. I'm only going to stick indicators on here if there's something I need to do to answer something like this. Okay, so we still have, this trend line's a bit of a mess. Charlie Lee has made a mess out of his coin here. And this right now is just kind of walking sideways. Nobody knows what to think of Litecoin right now. Technically, this thing is just a sideways mess. Let's get into Cardano. Cardano is very, very close to what's rule number 3? Rule number 3 is that descending patterns break to the upside, don't they? So look at the volume. Look at the bones, right? Look at all the volume that's here. There's some serious disagreement about price down here at this level, at the bottom of a descending pattern. This has the look of something that may break here pretty strongly. So let's put the chop on here. The chop is building up a lot of power. It's building up a lot of power. Again, you'll notice that once it gets up to a very high level, this is where range contraction like this leads to range expansion or a trend. So we're getting to the point on Cardano where we might see a strong break here, and we might see a couple of things happen. We might see rule number 3 break, which is the descending patterns break to the upside, and we may see range contraction leading to range expansion. Otherwise, we are in, what's the trend? What's the trend here? This is a weekly downtrend, folks. So we should expect to see this continue like this until such time that we have a reversal from the inside out, which is rule number 2. 2 left to go here. 2 left to go here. Here is Monero. Let's go back to price and volume, right? Sometimes we can just clog things up. This is a weekly chart. And right now on Monero is, you can pretty clearly see this one as well too. We have a weekly downtrend, and the price has got to start breaking above about this level here to start really making, so yes, we have broken the downtrend, but that by itself is not as important as the price. The price is everything. It's got to break above about about $1.60 here to get really up and moving and start to change that polarity into an uptrend like this. All right, so you can start to frame these things out. This is something you can do this weekend. You can put these lines on here. You can set up alerts. You can do all of this on your charts right now today. And then the final one, and there's really not much to say about IOTA. IOTA is still in a weekly downtrend. And we're not going to see much happen until the weekly downtrend and the trend line is broken to the upside. Okay, so those were the top 10 of crypto. We're not seeing a whole lot of difference, but we're seeing some little green shoots that are out there, such as like with Stellar and with Ripple are starting to break trend lines, are starting to reverse from the inside out. And that's very, very good news, right? So we could see something like that happen. There's an awful lot of positive news. I mean, compare the news today versus where it was a year ago. A year ago, everything was so speculative. Everything was just based on promise, but now we're actually getting projects getting into service revenue, and that's a big, big, big change. So with that, I would like to see what you guys want to look at. Okay, Arturo, let's go over to ETC. So I'll do ETC USD. So we'll take a look at this one. All right, so what do we have here? Ethereum Classic is in a weekly downtrend, right? So what do we have to do? We have got to break that trend line. And on the daily chart, what we need to do is we need to start to see this trade above about the $12 level, right? This has to print a higher low and trade above the $12 level as referenced by the USD. You might have a different level versus Bitcoin, but right now versus the USD, trade above 12 starts the process, but it's got a big trend line. Right now, it's got a big old hairy weekly trend line to get through. Okay, so let's see. Next one I saw there was Zilliqa. Remember looking at Zilliqa some time ago? So Zilliqa versus the versus Bitcoin. Boy, this doesn't look like a very good exchange. Let's see if there's a different one that I can look at here. Let's see. Let's look at Binance. Yeah, Binance has got some better volume. Sometimes you'll have to look at more than one exchange just to get your chart to show any kind of linearity to it. Okay, so you tell me, what do you see on this? On the weekly chart, what do we have for Zilliqa? Zilliqa's in a weekly downtrend, yes? Okay, so this has got to change before anything happens to this. This has got to start moving. And I would say for Zilliqa, we've got to, I'm not very good at reading off Satoshis here, but it's got to break this level right here. So let me just give you a graphic here so that you can, it's got to break in the weekly chart. We've got to break this level here before that weekly chart can get anywhere. We're going to see the same thing pretty much with just about every coin that we're going to talk about. All right, so let's see. What platform am I using? This is TradingView, okay? And it may look different from yours because I've set myself up a little bit. I look at screens all day long, and so I'm not going to use a white background. That will burn out your retinas in a hurry. Okay, let's look at Tron. Okay, request for Tron. Let's see what we got here. TRX. And let's see. Let's try Tron on, there we go, on Binance. Okay, so what's our weekly downtrend? Or what's our weekly trend? It is a downtrend, and right now we're in range contraction. We're in range contraction. So if we were to put on the Chop and Bollingers here on the weekly chart, we'd start to see the energy building up at this point. But right now, we're still in a weekly downtrend until the price breaks above, I'd say, this level here on Tron. It's going to be difficult to make any progress on this one. Again, guys, you don't have to be trading right now. You know, unless you've got some kind of DCA or dollar cost averaging or whatever type of addition strategy that you've got to be able to buy into the lows, to buy the dip on objective levels, you don't have to be doing any trading right now. Okay, we already went over Monero. Monero was part of the top 10. We already went over Monero. All right, let's see. Ethereum Classic, we did that one. Okay, so some guy wants to look at ETP. Let's look at that. All right, let's see if we can do this versus the US dollar. Okay, this one actually looks good. Okay, so here's something that's interesting. So on the weekly chart, we do have a former weekly downtrend has been reversed to a weekly uptrend. Would you agree with that? Okay, so this is good. This is something that we can work from. And now, so we'll go down to the daily chart. The daily chart is showing, so this is one of the few that I've seen which is actually trending to the upside. So now we have, right, we have a very, it's kind of a sloppy, oh yeah, this is Metaverse. This is Metaverse. So I've already got, Metaverse is the one that I was looking at in my swing trades. So versus the BTC. So I've got a slightly different chart on this one. So this is one of the few. This is actually an ascending triangle pattern, which has done a false breakout, which may just be a little bit longer than I want it to be, right? So this is, this one's still working okay. So we do have a weekly uptrend, and we got into the breakout. We have a current swing in this one right now, but I still like this one. This is one of the few coins which has actually got a nice weekly upswing. Rule number one, larger time frames dominate the trend. So we also have a couple of others like Dogecoin, right? So Dogecoin's sitting in a bull flag. It's actually in a weekly uptrend. Okay, and some other ones that we're looking at too is like Link. Link is also in a weekly uptrend. You can see this just looking at the weekly chart. There we go, weekly uptrend, higher highs and higher lows. Some things out there are actually trending to the upside. Okay, so I think I saw, let's see, a request for ontology. Let's do ontology, and I'll do a few more here, and then I will get out of your hair for this morning. Don't want to overstay my welcome. Okay, so this is a weekly chart on ontology. It has not been around for all that long. So weekly downtrend, moving range expansion into range contraction. So we just have a weekly consolidation pattern. So what would you look at to perhaps take a long on ontology? What you can do is go down to the daily chart, and now you're starting to see some, you can see some trend lines, which you can work off of, right? So you've got some nice trend lines to play off of an ontology. And actually what this is doing is this is just forming a big, long, symmetric triangle, is it not? And it's moving towards the apex pretty strongly. So what I would do is ontology, you could take a very rapid breakout from this. If the price gets above, I'd say this level here. So I'm going to go ahead and just add an alert to myself for that one. So if it breaks above this level, it's going to do so fairly quickly. And looking at the weekly chart, it's still in exhaustion, but this is a nice, it's still in exhaustion from the move down. So actually moving up will help break this exhaustion level from this. I actually do like that setup in ontology a lot. Okay, so let's see. I'll do a couple more here. VeChain. The VeChain army is here. Okay, so Bitfinex is not the place to look at VeChain. All right, let's try another one here. Let's see. Yeah, let's try Binance. There we go. Okay, so what do we have here on VeChain, on Binance? What do we have? Weekly downtrend. We have a weekly downtrend, right? So let's look at the daily chart. Let's see what we've got to work with on the daily chart. Yeah, not much to work with here. This one's got, it's got to break this trend line before, you know, rule number 3, before we can get anywhere with this one. Okay, so there you go. There's VeChain. Already did XRP. All right, so let's see. ETN. Let's see where ETN trades. You know what? I think this is one of the ones where I don't think TradingView has this one. So if I put an ETN BTC, there is no symbols for that. So I can't chart ETN, unfortunately. Let's try 0x. 0x. And we'll go for Binance on this one. So this actually is a really active coin. I like this one a lot. And we've started to work ourselves a little bit higher. This one is, you know, if you look at this one on a weekly chart, it's still a weekly downtrend, guys. It's still a weekly downtrend. But it's making, what's the word for it? It's making ovations to try to go higher. It's breaking some trend lines. We're starting to see some energy built up. Obviously, it's got to break above this to get anywhere. But right now, it's still in a weekly downtrend and still having a difficult time with that. Guys, I cannot chart ETN. You guys are requesting ETN. I can't chart it on TradingView. What I would have to do is I'd have to go over to like coinmarketcap.com and figure out what brokers were actually servicing that coin and then go on to that broker platform and see if they had a charting package. So it becomes very cumbersome to do that. If it's not charted in TradingView, chances are it's got such low volume that I don't want to be trading it anyway, unless we're talking about Digitex or something like that. All right, I just did VeChain. I just did VeChain. Where were you? Okay, so I'll do one more. This is it. Icon. Let's do ICX and let's do Binance. Okay, so what do we got for Icon? Icon is in a weekly downtrend. Icon is in a weekly downtrend, right? Weekly downtrend. And it's in a daily consolidation. So this one is just trendless. This has got a ton of energy. This thing is going to move very, very soon. Now, which direction? What you want to do with something like that is almost straddle your alerts. So what you can do is you can say, all right, let's straddle an alert down here. Let's add an alert. Okay, so if it's crossing this value, send me a note. If it crosses this value up here, right click, add alert. Also send me another note, right? So you can straddle your alerts with something like this. If it starts to move, you can hop on board because it's going to be a relatively big move with this amount of energy. Yeah, guys, I cannot chart. I can do this all day long. I can try to type in ETN and I'm not going to find a pair on here. So I hate to disappoint you, but there's nothing I can do about that. All right, folks. What I want to do here is remind you that I've got a masterclass going on and the sale goes until this weekend. Again, I'm the instructor. There's going to be tons of video content in the members area. This is on sale for 79 bucks today. If you're a premium member, you can use the coupon, get 10 bucks off. The discount disappears after this weekend. Never, never, never pay retail. Never pay retail. Always pay wholesale. I'm also including coaching sessions with this if you take the optional coaching, right? So the package for this, which is called the Masterclass Plus, is we're adding 4 private group coaching sessions, and this will be on sale for $158 for the package, or $148 with the premium membership coupon, right? So again, this price is only available through Sunday, goes away on Monday, goes up to 300 bucks, right? So the discount disappears this weekend. The bundle will cost $298. Dedicated serious investor will choose this package. So what do we cover in the class? Number 1, how to read price trends on single time frames, how to use multiple time frame trend readings, how to combine rules number 1 and 2. I showed you guys how to use the whole 4 rules, but can you do this on your own yet? Maybe, maybe not, right? This is the way to chart crypto. Number 4, how to determine entries on a chart using nothing but price. Clean up your charts. Learn how to use price because it's the fastest possible entry. Number 5, understanding how price moves between range expansion and range contraction. I guarantee nobody has ever taught you that before. Number 6, evaluating energies on single and multiple time frames. Understand how to put the puzzle pieces together on this. And then putting everything together with price and energy on multiple time frames. This is what I call fractal energy trading. Understanding risk management, directional trading signals, just understanding how to manage your chart is only half of the picture. You have to also understand how to execute trades that are going to put you in a position of edge. Number 9, market states and scanning for opportunities. Did you know that bear markets move differently than bull markets? Probably not. You're probably seeing everybody out there in the crypto world using the same crap TA, using the same techniques in this bear market as they did for bull markets because they don't know the difference. They don't have enough experience. Understand how to scan for opportunities, how to find opportunities in this market. And then number 10, how to get better at what you do, how to journal, how to do performance enhancement, and how to put everything together, right? So this is an awful lot of material. This is what the program looks like. So every module of the 15 modules, so I really put a lot into this. This is almost an ebook for each one of these. This is a written ebook that you can download and read off. Most of these are anywhere like 15 to 20 pages. Module videos, most of the module videos are running about 20 minutes right now. I've got an online quiz that you can take immediately after that to determine whether or not you understand what's going on. And then you just work your way through the materials. It's based on a pyramid set. So you work your way through the materials one at a time and eventually end up at the top of the pyramid. And you can take these as much as you want to. The really cool thing about the coaching is when I offer this class again at some point in the future, you'll be able to attend as an alumni for the coaching sessions. Or if you just get the class itself, you can use this for as long as you want to. Here is the link to get onto this, ReadySetCrypto.com/fractal. If you go out to our store, you will not find this class. It is not available to the public yet. You will not find this class if you go out to our store. So a lot of people write in and say, I can't find the class. Well, here's the link to it. ReadySetCrypto.com/fractal. Again, save $70 today if you do this by tomorrow. $79 or $69 if you have the coupon. If you want to add the coaching onto this, here is the link for that. ReadySetCrypto.com/plus. And that's $158 or $148 if you have the coupon. Okay, so thank you for your attention. Here are the links for you. I'll answer questions for the next couple of minutes, and then I will send you on your way for this weekend. Nobody wants to sit around and talk to the techie guy all weekend long. Let's see. Let's see what kind of questions that we have here. Yeah, we do accept crypto payments. Is this for beginners? Well, it depends on what you think of that. Now, we do have another class that is for beginners, and I do have another class that's already out there today, which is technical analysis, the intro to technical analysis, which is like, okay, here's a candlestick. This is what open, high, low, close means. This is what moving averages are for. This is what oscillators are for, momentum indicators, trend indicators, those kind of things. This is how to read price. So if you've never done anything whatsoever before, perhaps that might be a better place to start. But quite honestly, this is the way I think a lot of people should start, because you don't pick up the bad habits that everybody else is going to try to teach you. Okay. Do I take into consideration, so Jesse is asking this question, do I take into consideration the line part of the candle, so the wicks, into higher high and higher low? Yes, I use the entire candle. What I'm looking for is, if I'm looking for trend lines, I want to see where the price touches the most number of times. So if that's the body of the candlestick, then so be it. It's the body of the candlestick. If it's the wick or the shadow, also known as the shadow, then I will use the entire candlestick if that's what's necessary. This is more art than science when it's drawing trend lines. So Naima is saying, I have no experience. Can I take this? Well, you have to start somewhere, I would say. And I do, what I do, if you guys haven't noticed before, I do teach things in terms of analogies. I always am trying to put things in a form that you can say, wow, I didn't realize how much I already knew, because I know how things move in nature. And this is one of the main points I make in this program, is that You need to understand how things move in nature first to understand how markets move. Everybody tries to tell you it's something else. Oh, well, obviously you're not using the relative strength index with a period of 14 on it. Oh, come on. No. It's all about price, and it's all about things that move in waves like this. All right, let's see. All right, just a couple of other questions here. I'm not going to look at any more coins, I'm sorry. Okay, now we're getting silly. I think we're done here today. So thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. I want to see you in the class. Let me know if you have any questions. If you want to reach out to me and ask any questions about the class or anything like that, you can reach us at support@ReadySetCrypto.com. I encourage you to get into this. If you want to join, get it done this weekend. Don't pay retail price for it. I'll look forward to seeing you guys in the class. And I look forward to seeing you guys in there asking questions and digging in, and especially joining me during the coaching sessions, where we're going to have a lot of very motivated, helpful people in there as well too. So thanks, everybody. It's great to see you guys. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will talk to you soon. See you at the next one.
There goes a sight from my soul.